Hi love, welcome back to my channel, and this is a page where I share, basically sharing my growth story from scratch and all of the new things that I'm learning, the new experiences, and how I am really becoming the best version of myself and also becoming the me that I have always dreamt of being. Don't mind the background noise. Like today I decided to try like nature. Like I also decided to try to make videos in nature and see what that looks like or feels like, and I'm actually liking it, except that there's two beds on this roof that is directly in front of me, and they're busy. I don't know if they're fighting or they're trying to sort something out. They look like husband and wife, so you might be hearing their wings flap and all that. Anyways, let's get back into the video. So in this video I'm just going to be sharing life lately, like everything that has happened in my life since the last time I made a video. I really hope these birds flapping their wings will not disturb the sound into this video. Anyways, so I'll just get right into it. So the first thing I want to share from the last video, I was saying some things about manifestation and how manifestation actually works, and how it is you living from the end, seeing your desires as wishes fulfilled and all that. Well, in this video I'm not going to say manifestation doesn't work, because it does work, and I've actually seen some changes in my own life based on my own manifestation, based on my own desires. So I'm just going to be sharing some of the experiences I've had since the last time I made that video, and since I decided to intentionally manifest things in my life. I have like a few short lists here that I wrote that I want to talk about. So the first thing I want to talk about is my experience in with shadow work. Yes, shadow work is something I found out that there is something called shadow work in manifestation, after I made that video. And the reason why I actually had to do shadow work, or something that has to do with shadow work had to pop up in my life, is I understood that manifestation was real, and I saw a little bit of changes in my life once I took the concept of it and just digested it. But one thing that the universe did with me that I did not imagine that it would happen, in fact maybe I didn't really think it was needed, is shadow work. And I don't know, I feel like this is a thing that most people don't talk about. When you hear manifestation gurus talk, most people omit this part of manifestation. But my page is all about authenticity, so I'm going to share. So now for me, the experience with shadow work had to do with rewiring my subconscious mind, had to do with dealing with facing my limiting beliefs and challenging traumas that exist in me that I did not even know were still existing. Because they say things like you see your wishes as see your desires wishes fulfilled, and it is true. See it as wishes fulfilled. Believe that you're worthy of it. Believe that it happens. If you want to manifest something and you don't have limiting beliefs, you don't have any block, it happens immediately. But if you're someone who has limiting beliefs, you might not even be aware, but when you try to manifest something, you would know. Because what the universe will do is, because the universe is out to support you and make your desires become fulfilled wishes, and just collapse the quantum field and put you in the places where you get your desires, every gap in between needs to be bridged. So what the universe does is it leads and guides you through the process of bridging all of the gaps, and most of the work happens inside. But the tools that help you aid some of those work, you have to engage in them physically. There are a number of things that I did that has helped me so far. The things that have happened in my life in the last 3 weeks, I am amazed. Like, I am mind blown. But there have been positive side, like a lot of positive sides to it. So let me just talk about a little bit of the things that I have experienced. So when I was manifesting, like when I was speaking the desires that I wanted, the things I wanted to be in my life, I was so excited. And I was so excited to just try this whole manifestation process. However, there were so many videos I watched, so many manifestation experts. They said things about all you need to do is to be detached from this, detached from that, and those things work. But hear me and hear me again, if you don't have limiting beliefs, if you don't have subconscious blocks, if you don't have traumas that need to be healed in order for you to get your desires, in order for you to see your desires in the 3D reality, it works immediately, and those people are right. But where I feel like most of those people don't do justice is they don't, like, maybe they are directed, or they are manifesting people that don't have money blocks, or that don't have any blocks that would hinder the manifestation. But I feel like if that is what they are doing, probably someone like me would not find it. But then I also believe the universe works in mysterious ways that still works for my highest good. I was made to see that. Now let me tell you the funny way that the universe did it for me. I was only going to stick with Neville Goddard's method and just, do everything that was said and practice everything that was said, and just see my manifestation fulfilled. And the universe led me in a very weird way, led me to this book called, I'm not sure, but it's something like Changing Your Brain to Change Your Life, something like that, by Dr. Joe Dispenza. When I saw the book, I didn't want to read it because I'm like, you know what, I don't want anything to distract me. I just want to stick with my manifestation and just focus on all of that. But my intuition, the universe through my intuition, led me to the book. And I was reading the book. I was even saying, I don't want to read the book through and through, and I would just go through some of the chapters that maybe I feel like I relate to a little bit. So I was unpicking what I was reading. Eventually I had to read through it. Maybe I didn't completely finish all the chapters, but I read through a lot, like a huge part of the chapters. And then as I was reading it, it was now like the process of reading the book was now opening layers, and I was now feeling subconscious blocks. I was feeling resistance, like in my body. I was feeling in my mind. And then I was angry. I was like, I knew I shouldn't have read this. I don't feel like I was led to this, because I'm saying I want to focus on my manifestation, and the way Neville Goddard talked about it, I just want to focus. I don't want to go into the science part of it. I don't want to this and that. But then I'm here, and I can imagine the universe looking at me like, baby girl, do you really want your desires? Because if you do, this is the path that leads to it. And then eventually I read the book, and the moment I read the book, I was brought face to face with all of my blocks, my limitations, my limiting beliefs, and I now started to see and understand that most of my limiting beliefs were handed down to me. Like, most of them were not, so most of them were given, some from the family I came from, different types of limiting beliefs. I was surprised to even realize that I had things like this in my life and were affecting me, but I did not even know. And those are blocks that would have hindered me, or just made me give up and say, you know what, this manifestation thing is actually a scam. It is not for me. Or because there's also this idea, this limiting belief I had, that I didn't even know that it was playing out in my life, that wealth is for only some kind of people, or there's a kind of wealth that is for only some kind of people. One thing that Neville Goddard's method of manifestation, and even Dr. Joe Dispenza's book, one thing it made me understand is the difference between me and the people that have their desires and living their dream life is not that they are better than me. It's not even that they are opportune than me. It's not even that they are abroad and I'm in Nigeria, or they are in opportune countries, because those things are limiting. I didn't know that those things are blocks. I didn't know they were limiting beliefs, but it's something I've been handed. I mean, I really, in my process of the shadow work, I really struggled, because I still stay with my family, and imagine me trying to do something different from everyone, but still staying in the same house, living with them every day. It's not been very, very easy. So I had that block of only some people. It's probably not for people like me. But the more I came face to face with those blogs, I realized that, oh, this is it. Because deep down in my life, even while I was still seriously practicing Christianity in my relationship with God, then I would always say things like, I don't believe that everyone is supposed to struggle painfully. Like, even though everyone around me, everyone in the society says, oh, there's this certain way you have to go, you have to work a 9 to 5 for a long period, or for a period of time in your life before you even start to say you want to do anything. Like, everyone is scared of starting from scratch. Everyone is scared of starting from nothing. They say they are being careful. They say they are being they boast in being strong, being resilient, but it's not actually resilience. For me, after going through my shadow work and seeing things, I understand that it is not about them being resilient rather, it is basically them wanting to play safe in a comfort that they are familiar with. When I realized that was what the issue is, I was like, ooh, wow. But now let's go to my own shadow work. So in my own shadow work process, so far I have had to face some things. Now, let me see a, a funny thing that happened. You remember my first video? I said something about I didn't want to do Christianity anymore. The way Christianity is done, the religious, I always knew there was something off with that. There was a circus around it, but I couldn't put my hands on it. But I just said for my own safety and healing, I am going to pull out of it. But I wasn't sure what I was going to do next. I wasn't sure how I was going to live my life next. But I just said I am open to exploring everything inside of me, because there were questions I needed answers to, aside from manifesting, wealth, manifesting abundance and all of that. There were things I needed answers to. The universe had all of those things. So even in my shadow work, I was led to this entire new paradigm of spirituality, spiritual awakening, things I have never heard in my life before, things that the average religious Christian that I know would go crazy if they hear that I, welcomed, or I allowed myself to even think and whatnot. But you see, one thing I realized in this whole process is religion is actually the circus that I've always thought it was, because I went down a rabbit hole that opened my eyes to see that, wow, the world is much more than religion paints it. Both Islam, Christianity, the world is like a whole lot more than religion paints it. And then when I started to expose myself to those new ways of seeing life, the psychology, the idea of spiritual awakening and all that, I realized that my life has actually been like that. Like, I have actually been working towards the process of spiritual awakening for the last 2 years, because I also learned about this new thing called the dark night of the soul. This is where your soul starts to question everything and starts to ask questions, or try to find a way that is different from everything that I've always known. And I've been in that state for like the last 2 years, but I couldn't make sense of it. I didn't know that that was what I was in. And then I did the job I was working earlier this year until I couldn't do it anymore, and I just had to quit in July and all that. So I realized that I've actually been in that dark night of the soul process, and the points I had to enter, let me just say, like October, mainly September, October, was this process of awareness, where I'm now coming into awareness of this new life, of this new earth. There's all the questions I had about my life, I found answers to a lot of them in the last 1 to 2 months. I found out that my sensitivity is not actually a problem. There are a lot of other people like me in the world, and most of us are called empaths, and there are different types of empaths. I had to learn that part. I had to learn. I'm hoping to energy work now. I understand energy. I understand that the life is energy itself. The main life force inside each and every one of us is energy. I know it looks like I'm dropping so much of bomb in this video, but I don't know. I guess I'm just excited to share all of the new things I've learned. I hope I'm not confusing anyone that is watching this video, and in case you hear some things I say, maybe I say some things that sound new, some things that sound like gibberish, and you feel like, oh, if I can elaborate on any of these things, you can just drop in the comments, ask questions, and just let me know your thoughts on it, and then I can make another video and break things down, right? And then I have always had questions about some Bible characters here in the Bible. Mary Magdalene, Jesus, Thomas, a number of people have always been puzzled about their life and the way the Bible talked about them. I've always felt deep down that the Bible is not complete. And when I went down the rabbit hole from my shadow work, I was led to that part. Like, the video just came. It was this particular video that came to me and then just sucked me in. And before I knew it, I was interested in finding out so many other things. Because mainly, most of my life, I've always wanted freedom. I've always wanted to know the truth that sets me free, and I tried to find that in religion, but I couldn't find that. And then deciding to step out, I'm open. I actually came out open to other possibilities, other things that could give me answers and could set me free. So I was open to it. I got to the book on the Gospel of Thomas, and I realized that most of the things that the normal Bible tells us, there are 2 things I learned about the Bible now. The Bible is incomplete, 1, and then 2, even with the way the Bible is incomplete, when you awaken, when you get to the process of spiritual awakening, from spiritual awareness to spiritual awakening, you would begin to read the Bible and see it in a different way. Like, the Bible now becomes a map to you journeying back to yourself, right? So, and then before you awaken, the Bible can be scary, it can be oppressive, it can be this thing that just wants to control and just wants to force you into obedience. But when you awaken, it becomes a map and a tool to discovering yourself in the pages of scripture. But however, you will need some other support aside from you might need some other support aside from the Bible while reading it, just so you don't go crazy. Like the Gospel of Thomas is not in the Bible, but it was from there that I got the first thing that liberated me. I read the Gospel of Thomas and I saw where Jesus, according to Thomas, Jesus said something that is not very clear in any other part of the New Testament, in the King James version or the version that we know today. And then he talked about Jesus saying that the kingdom of God is within you, not outside, not in a church, not in a building, not really in a gathering. It is inside of you. And then he also went ahead to say that whoever looks within, he said it in two different verses. One was, whoever looks within, first it will be troubled, then it would be astonished, then it would reign over all. Another verse said that if you don't look within, if you decide not to look within, not to know yourself, you live life in poverty. Mind you, this poverty is not just when it comes to finances. Poverty of the mind, poverty of the soul, poverty of the body, right? Unfortunately, a lot of people are living that life right now. Anyways, so I decided to start going in and in and in. And aside from the Gospel of Thomas, one character of the Bible that I've always felt drawn to, I've always felt a little connected to in a way, is Mary Magdalene. But I always felt like the story that is said about her in the Bible is not complete, it's not really full, because if I want to know myself through Mary Magdalene's story, because I feel like I'm connected to her, what is in the Bible is not giving me the full picture of what I need to decide that, oh, this is someone I relate to, I can know myself through this. So I decided to start researching, and I discovered that even Mary Magdalene had a gospel. She had her own account of Jesus's life, her experience with Jesus, like it's a whole lot, right? And then I discovered that I wasn't crazy. Ever since, like, most of my life, I've always felt like I'm connected. I've always felt like there's some weird things about me that I cannot find in the Bible that is presented to me or presented to people generally. But I feel like I'm not crazy. That it had to be either one thing. Either something was wrong with me, or there is something about me that I need to find, discover, and be able to live freely. And through my exploration and exploring, I don't know if exploration is a word, but exploring with the story of Mary Magdalene, other parts of the Bible that got me curious, I discovered that I'm not actually crazy. I discovered that Mary Magdalene was an oracle with Jesus. They were both energy and light workers, and it's a whole lot, like a whole lot. So this video is just about me just catching up on some of those things. I might make another video talking about my experience with maybe the Gospel of Thomas or Gospel of Mary Magdalene and other things. But altogether, I just wanted to give this what will I call it? I just wanted to give this updates. So the progress of my shadow work is this. Through learning about Mary Magdalene, learning about some of these people, and identifying my blocks, like my subconscious block, my limiting blocks, and understanding that a lot of the things that have been holding me down are things that were handed to me. I was born into the life where everything you know is handed to you, and there is this even fear is handed to you. It's handed to you on a platter of gold, disguised as obedience, disguised as love, right? I had to start dismantling it, and it tested a lot of my relationships. And as of now, I don't have any friend. Like literally, I don't have any friend. And before I would be terrified, but I'm not terrified anymore. I believe I deserve to be friends with people that love me for who I am, not who they want me to be. I believe I deserve to be friends with people who are not afraid to look within. I have never been afraid to look within, but most of my life I was always distracted from it. Like I'm always like pulled out of it. If I decide to look within, or I decide to even answer the call of whatever is calling me from within, I'm either distracted from it or I am rebuked for it by friends, by family, by, so to say, Christian mentors and whatnot. So I said I deserve people who love me for me, who allow me to be me, right? And that's why I don't have any friends. It also tested my relationship with my family. I went through this whole psychosis of, first of all, realizing things and hating everyone, and then realizing that I cannot hate everyone, because if I hate them, they will keep reflecting. And I also realized that the inner world literally creates the outer world. If I hold hate inside, the world will reflect hate to me. So I know I could not hate people, and all I did most of the time was release. Whenever I felt anger, I released. Whenever I felt happiness, I allowed it. Whenever I felt disgust, I released. I allowed the emotions, the feelings to flow through me, and then I released. Like, I didn't try to obsess over anything. I didn't try to hold too much pain, because I also don't want to be in victim mode. I want to be a creator that creates my reality, because I find that everyone is creating their reality. Some people are more aware than some others, and the average religious person is probably not aware that they create their reality with what is inside of them. The limiting beliefs, the blocks, the things you believe, the things you think are true, because it is ultimately what is how will I say it now? It's ultimately what you're filled with. So you're projecting that into the universe, and the universe finds ways to reflect that to you through the people you meet and whatnot. So I think that's all. Let me see if there's still anything. Let me see if I said everything that I had here. I had like some notes. Oh yeah, I said I was going to share this. And one thing is this: through my shadow work, I was able to like, there are a lot of things that have been unveiled in me, like this past 1 month. One of my favorites is understanding my sensuality. Like, it literally blew me off when I got to this point of my shadow work and unveiling. I'm like, what? This is something that religion shames. This is something that religion tries to distract from. Does everything. The whole arrangement of religion is to distract you from your sensuality, from your sexuality, from your being, either as a woman or as a man. But mostly, it works disadvantage. Like, it's mostly at the disadvantage of the women. Personally, you see, there's this part of me that I've always known. I've always felt like living the way I was living, the Christian religious life I was living, didn't feel like me. It always felt shallow, always felt like I was pretending. Because I've been a Christian most of my life, and I was literally intentional when it came to, being close to God, living for God, living a life designed by religion that was real life, and I was doing everything, but some things felt uncomfortable, and it got to a time I was gaslighting myself, like, why do I still like these things? Why do I still have interest in these things? Why do I still feel like I need some of these things to feel like myself? And one of them is, I don't like covering myself, like fully covering myself and saying, oh, I just want to cover myself. Modesty. I also discovered that modesty is not what they tell us modesty is, right? Like being modest and whatnot. So I've always known that I don't want to be someone who cover ups, like I should be ashamed or something. But that's what religion makes. Like, when I unlocked this whole sensuality idea, I discovered that religion just so they lied to me. I started to feel myself. I started to feel like myself once I understood this whole sensuality thing, how it plays out in my life, how it is helping my life, and how it actually makes me feel. Like, really. And I'm like, wow. Because my desire and the reason why I've always wanted to, be free and be able to express myself is not to tempt a man. It's not to make a man lust after me the way Christianity, paints it, that if you dress a certain way, you are intentional. There's the way they plant some sins, or what they call sin. There's the way they plant it into your heart, even when it is not true. I know that I don't want to tempt anybody, but I want to dress a certain way to feel good, to express myself and feel like I'm expressing my true self. And when I discovered that is actually not a bad thing, that is one of the things that are called shadow work. Because shadow work is not only about the bad things in your life, it's also about the things that you have suppressed for a long time. You've suppressed and rejected, the parts of you that you have rejected. So basically, when I started my shadow work, naturally a lot of these things just came back up. The things that I've just hated about myself. I can understand why I had body dysmorphia most of my life, why I struggled with my body image, and why I always attracted people that abused me, right? It was because I didn't see myself as good, I didn't see myself as worthy. In fact, I condemned myself for having big bust at some point, because I'm like, this is the reason for all my problems, this is the reason why men are attracted to me, this is the reason why people want to take advantage of me. And the more I internalized that, my reality kept reflecting it to me. Like, I feel like shadow work is the best thing that can happen to anyone, and I feel like everyone should actually commit to it. But the thing is, a lot of people are scared of this kind of work. They prefer the outside, the external striving because they want a better life, than the inner work of, let me transform my inside so that my outside would naturally reflect my state of being. And I chose that path. Has it been the easiest? Not exactly. In the last 2 years, it's been crazy. But has it been worth it? It's been worth it, because in this whole process, I started to find my true self. And the part of me that doesn't like to cover up, that doesn't like to cover up, I got to meet her again. I got to have conversations with her and see that it was never about tempting anybody. It was more about embracing myself, accepting myself. I now understood the link between sensuality, creativity, and wealth. I think I'll create a different video about this. About this. I feel like this video was just about ranting, but it's all good. It's all good. I can make another video explaining about sensuality. Yes, and in that video I will go deeper into the things I noticed about Jesus, or the things I newly learned about Jesus, and changed my perspective completely about Christianity, religion, in fact patriarchy as a whole, and how it is transforming my life. Newsflash, Jesus was a yogic. When I found out, I'm like, what? This same yoga that Christianity condemns, that religion condemns like no man's business, then Jesus is the representation of that. Like, there's just a lot, like, it does not end. But the thing is, Jesus already said it, that if you look within, like if you decide to look within, no matter what anyone tells you, you'll be troubled because of the things you will find. You'll find your own shadows, you'll find some revealing and disturbing truths. Imagine finding out that Jesus was a yogic. If you don't know what yogic is someone that practices yoga. Like, yes. And if you don't know what yoga is, check Google, check YouTube, check anywhere, you'll find it. But yeah, I found out a lot of things that shocked me and shook me. So basically, that's like the heads up of how life has been lately, and how I discovered the manifestation. Manifestation is true and it works, but it's faster when you do not have any shadow, when you do not have any block, you don't have any limits. Yes, if you're limitless, truly. And it's true, you can be limitless. It is very, very possible that you can be limitless, right? But if you do, it might look like it's taking a while, or they are lying. But it's not because they are lying, it's just because you had some things to deal with that you've been ignoring, or you did not think you needed to deal with. So that's about it. Please remember to like this video, comment, share, and I'll see you in my next video with all the things I said I was going to talk about. Bye.